Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Harakah Kadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of Syrian truth. Yeah, it's funny with this whole situation you've had basically going on with what's it called, with the Ukraine getting invaded by Russia. Well, in general, you've just had the markets, like you've had a huge contingent of people basically betting against the markets for like the last few months, and it's like even the bigging up what's it called? They're talking about how Russia's definitely gonna invade the Ukraine for like the last few weeks, and the what was it, energy prices as well, because that's linked to what's it called? Even thingy supplies, linked to what's it called? To being able to get supplies from the hell are they called again? They're called from Russia, the Nord Stream. Nord Stream. So you've basically had like, oh, and how inflated the markets are in general in the Western markets, like S&P and S&P 500 especially. They've been super inflated by people just throwing in dumb amounts of money into it, and because it's been performing so well throughout the whole of the pandemic, when it was meant to have been, on the downturn, people have been brave as fuck. Like they've been throwing in hundreds of thousands. Life savings been going in there. Assuming they're just gonna make a killing, because they hear about, oh wow, this stock went up like 400%. People were set for life off these things. So they've been feeling staunch in it, but you've had guys betting against, and now now got the old invasion. So the markets have gone down. We'll have to see how it impacts in the long term. But regardless, it's going to be people who've made bets. They're going to have made a killing, and there's going to be hella people. Going to be all kinds of fruit. And then as well, with sanctions on Russia, then like energy prices are that's they already peaked. They're already going up by dumb amounts, like 200%, 300%. So now we'll see how much more insane it's gonna get. Whatever happens in Ukraine or how it affects the Federal Reserve, okay. So Yahoo News says heavily hedged traders have been awaiting a stock market storm. Whatever happens in Ukraine or how it affects the Federal Reserve policy. Oh yeah, and it's coming up to the time when the policy is going to change in the UK from April. That's when they're going to start upping them taxes, and then as well the Fed have been hinting at increasing the interest rate, and whether that still remains to be seen, because they're kind of saying like, oh, we're gonna do it, and then they turn back. But at some point the shit's gonna go up and it's gonna get peaked. Whatever happens in Ukraine, okay. The outcome will land in markets where investors have had time to prepare for the worst. It may be one reason that the worst so far has been avoided, and that's the thing: is the worst. The people that have had time to prepare. That's the guys. The big companies. It's basically the establishment. Esau's core. What's it called? Esau's core structures, man. It's not the average Joe. The average Joe is thinking, yeah, I'm just, just stick your money in the stock market. It's fine. Anyone that's looking to retire anytime soon, they're upset. They got a tear in their eye, man. Says they've been steadily boosting bets against equities, shaking off a reluctance to short tracing to last year's meme stock upheaval. Bearish bets on the largest exchange traded fund tracking, the S&P 500, have surged. Exchange traded fund tracking, the S&P 500 surged. While put open interest on bond focused products has risen to historic levels. Meanwhile, professional managers have been hedging their credit exposures. The process undertaken when the Fed started to indicate it was serious about taming inflation, it started to look fortuitous. Yes, inflation has been running away month on month. I think it's been going up like 10% for like the last 3 months, like month on month. Month on month, I think it's been like 7 or 8%, certain 6%. But then they're saying like year on year, it's been like a 10% inflation from last year, which is fucking hilarious. Because it's just like, bruh, and you can see it. You go to the shop, the prices have gone up. There's less products there as well, and it's funny because there's like a couple of like where I'm staying is they have a lot of independent brands like in stores, and it's like hella of them disappeared, and you ain't seen them, man. It's funny since like hella people went out of business and they started a grocery delivery service, bro, and that's that's the new hustle. Um, the process undertaken when the Fed started to indicate hedging their credit exposures. Okay, the process undertaken when the Fed started to indicate it was serious about taming inflation is starting to look fortuitous. With tension building around Russia and Ukraine, equity markets proved resilient overnight, shaking off a decline in futures that at one point reached nearly 3% of the Nasdaq 100 index. This was written before the invasion, so oh boy. When markets are at record highs, there's a lot of room for downside movement, Randy Frederick. And that's the thing, it's like dumb bin record highs. So, oh boy. Oh me, oh my. Downside movement. Randy Frederick, Managing Director of Trading and Derivatives for Charles Schwab, said by phone, I would think that that might diminish the impact of this. Investors have been on edge for weeks as Russian troop build-up along its border with Ukraine escalated, with the White House warning an invasion could be imminent. Something Moscow denies. A constant barrage of news bulletins have added to the agitation, with the Biden administration's aggressive rhetoric on Russia becoming a focal point for traders. Short interest as percentage of shares outstanding in the SPDR S&P 500 ETF trend, ticker SPY, has doubled since the start of the year, and that's one of the main what they called not well, yeah, that's one of the main ones that people have been basically making money off, throughout the last year or two. The average, the layperson, anyway, because it's more about like the average Joe, just getting their life savings, their whatever money they got, fucking completely obliterated. So they're just looking for like that new monetary system, which is the Karagma. Has doubled since the start of the year, last week reaching the highest since December 2020. According to data from IHS Markit, more than 6% of the fund is now out on loan. Meanwhile, put open interest on SPY last week climbed to 2-month high, and a CBOE put to call ratio that tracks the volume of options tied to everything from single stocks to indexes indicates the S&P 500 and the VIX Fear Gauge has also spiked. So yeah, then puts are basically bets against the market, and calls are bets that the market's gonna go up. So with the puts, like if people are doing that means that they're just waiting for when it's gonna go down. They're really out there just and that's basically people betting against the market was how the layperson was making money before. They were basically finding out what big hedge funds were betting against, and then just making it rally. But when it comes to a war, then it goes into a whole different domain, because your Lockheed Martins, your all your weapon manufacturers are they're going to be making all your weapon manufacturers are going to be making a killing. Yeah. All your weapon manufacturers are going to be making a killing. That's going to be where all the interest is going, all the money's going, and then all the what's it called? All the weapon and then all the usual avenues people would have to make money. That shit's going to go out the window, or it's basically going to be losing money. More than sitting down like the VIX Fear Gauge. So it says also spiked. So among Russia-centric securities, open interest for bearish put contracts on the 1.4 billion Vanek Russia ETF, which primarily tracked Russian energy and mining stocks, surged to the highest level since April 2018 last week. So yeah, betting against that Russia. And this is the thing, is that level of money that's being done by establishment powers. That's being done by the guys who hold sway, the guys who have large amounts of money to throw down, because these guys are basically planning and moving around things that they're looking to have go down. As such, what it's the average person's getting fucked over, because the reason the amount of money that those make is based off how many people are betting. Is based off how many people are betting that things are going to continue as they are. Things are going to be on the up and up. And that they're the ones who getting. That's the average person, man. They're hoping for that, so their retirement fund gets nice and meaty. But it's peak. So it says frantic hedging could help buffer any decline, said Matt Maley, chief market strategist, Miller Tabak Plus Co. It's very similar to when a stock with very high short interest gets some bad news. The decline tends to be much more orderly as these shorts start taking profits and cover their positions. A comparable cautious story has been playing out in corporate bond space as the Fed ramped up rhetoric, put open interest for both the iShares iBoxx High Yield Corporate Bond ETF HYG and the iShares iBoxx Dollar Investment Grade Corporate Bond ETF LQD has surged to near records. So people are betting against all kinds of shit on the on the fucking what's it called, man? Betting against all kinds of shit on the on the markets. It's actually peak. All kinds of fruit. So HYG did it over these products. So it says professional speculators have been similarly guarded. Shorts on credit ETF tracks by Goldman Sachs Groups Inc. Prime Broker have increased by 29% this year, outpacing the average short book for US exchange traded fund, which has risen by 5% in the same stretch. Overall, hedge funds trapped by the bank had at the start of February boosted short positions in every week, but one since November. So these men have been, the man said since early November. So these men have been waiting for shit to go sideways. And this is the thing, is in the meantime, whilst they're betting, people are still doing well, which is bolstering them. In this, it's like as soon as the actual crisis comes, it's a wrap. And it really is. It's really at peak. It's really at peak. It's kind of fun. It's funny as hell. Because it's more or less like they're trying to gain something, out of the circumstance, like they do, but in the end they fall in the trap. And that's the thing is what, as far as this monetary system, it's gonna have to be it's gonna have to be go on top. There's gonna have to be a crisis of scale to where the people are gonna be pushed towards they're gonna be moved towards the beast system, man. That Karagma system, that new monetary system, man. That fourth industrial revolution system, where it's no longer dealing with things as they stand. And it's gonna be like, oh, it's too much danger. No, it's too, it's untrustworthy. That's how they're gonna do it. And it's funny because people on the bottom level have been trying to manipulate it, but hey, it's peak. Because Esau is the one that really has the control. Psalms 64:1. Hear my voice, O Most High, my prayer. Preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. Yeah, these are... Damn. So what thingy, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. Because these things are happening what? In the dark. They're happening in hid places, man, where it's not just, blatantly known, it's not clearly known. These things, and that's the thing is you have people that say like, oh, they know about, it's too rare, the Illuminati, but then they don't really know about, what families it entails, what people that's talking about. They might just have heard it. They're thinking about what they called celebrities and whatnot. They're not looking at like, okay, these are families that have set themselves up, because says who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. Yeah, they're basically shooting them arrows. and that's all these different means by which these elites are coming against chiefly Israel, because it's coming against the whole world. Everyone's going to be feeling the burn, because that's why Isaiah 14 says like all the nations are going to be like, yo, you were, the way you were moving, the way you're presenting yourself was like you were on a whole different level and scale, but you become weak like unto us, man. You become a fucking nobody. Then they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot him and fear not. Yeah, shooting in secret. These things, it's like people are looking at these things like, oh, what do you call it? It's just, unfortunate coincidence or whatever of a set of things that happen. But really, it's what? It's these things are planned. These things are set up, man. These things are schemed in the dark. Because what was the other one I was gonna get? Something I was just thinking about. Okay. Jeremiah 51:6. It says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense." And that's what's going down. This is a schemed, a planned destruction, elimination of what do you call it? Of America. That's how Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is having it go down. And Esau's being caught in his own pride. He's out here thinking things are gonna work in his favor. Things are gonna work how he desires. But like it says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations are drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Yeah, part of that wine is this whole monetary system where instead of using actual things of actual worth, you're basically using paper, using debt. And it's skilled in a way where the average person don't really understand what's going on. They think, just like they just get some plastic. Well, now it's not even paper anymore. Now they get some plastic note, and it would just be like, it's just a tenner, it's just 10 quid. But they don't realize like what that used to be, like 10 pounds of what, and it's basically them wanting unjust weight, and that allows Esau to play with it and mess with it however he desires. And then what it says, what the nations are drunk on wine, they're mad. They're all caught up in these systems. They're all out here thinking this is the ultimate way to live. This is why everyone is looking at this situation in Ukraine. Their heart is crestfallen, because they're just like, no, we're gonna lose this great system. Meanwhile, come on. And it says what Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. And that's it. It's like, how for her, take balm for her pain. There's any form or method of trying to save this place. And that's the thing, is all these different schemes, all these things that these elites are doing, they're basically trying to ensure and cement for themselves that a place for them to continue on for all time. But they ain't gonna go down. Because why? This place is what? It's the wicked was made for a day of evil. Says, how for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let's go everyone to his own country. Yeah. That's the thing. They're going to be trying all forms and manners and methods of basically getting in their new world order, and they're going to achieve it to a certain extent. It's like the Charagma. That's going to go out. They're going to get that in, because that's going to be what? Part of the hour of temptation. Part of that time of trouble, man, where the pressure's going to be on, and the whole world's going to feel that pressure. But then what? And ultimately, it's basically going to be, lit up by Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. When Yahushua makes his return, and the fathership, this place is going to get lit up. But hey, that's why this whole monetary system is being used as a bludgeoning mallet to wallop over the heads of the average people. So they're basically just gonna have to be like, yo, we need that we need that Charagma, we need that MOTB. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom.